Hey, it's Williee Armellini from Flowers and Scents with your flow industry buzz. Okay, today we're going to interview Lane DeVries from Cal Flowers. Now you might say, well, you've interviewed him before, haven't you? And the truth is, I have. I interviewed him once as the president of Sun Valley, which he was. And then I interviewed him again as Cal Flowers' new director. But this time, I'm going to interview him about his book, The Pursuit of Purpose. Sun Valley was the biggest grower in America, flower grower, so and it came to a tragic end, unfortunately. But I think if you read this book, which I recommend you do, you'll learn a lot about purpose. So let's have Lane tell us about his pursuit of purpose. All right, Mr. Lane DeVries, director of Cal Flowers, I guess. What's your title there?
I guess nowadays it's called president.
Oh,
President
you're,
of the
oh,
Flowers. Yeah,
okay. All right,
yeah.
Mr. President. Well, we're here today because you wrote a book. That's the bottom line here. And I've interviewed you twice before now, and one time
Okay.
as Sun Valley on the what what appeared to be the good times, but now that I read the book, I realized that when we did that interview, the Rome was already burning, I think.
Yeah, well, things were already not so good.
Not so
Correct.
good.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I interviewed you as Cal Flowers, and that was a little more positive. But today it's about the book, okay? So you wrote this book
Okay.
called Pursuit of Purpose, and having written my own book, this is the year of books because a lot of people seem to write books this year or last year, and yours is quite interesting. It's a very personal account of sort of the rise and fall of Lane DeVries and Sun Valley. Um, and I found a lot of things interesting here. What was most interesting to me about this book, I think, was your concern for people.
Yeah.
Um, you made a comment here that says, if I can quote it, that it's like oxygen, that your employees were like oxygen to you.
Yep. Correct.
And I found that quite interesting that thinking about people as oxygen because you can't breathe without them. You need them.
Right.
They're um, they're a part of what you do and what you did there at Sun Valley. So, and I'm going to try not to do all the talking here, and I'll let you talk sometime. But the crux of the book is, brings you through the whole process of Sun Valley, the rise and fall, if you will, of Sun Valley. And boy, did they kick you a lot when you were down. Your pursuit of purpose, I think, came shining through because you hit a lot of roadblocks and had to skirt around them as best you could. And another quote, or at least something that I found interesting, was that government official that told you that you had a rule. The rule was what you stand through. If you could read it from 2 feet away, it was okay.
Yep. That was the ICE officer in 2006 or 2007 who told us that. Yes. Correct.
Yeah, that if you could read it
In
from
other
2 feet away,
words, don't scrutinize these papers out of
just
fear
look
of
at it. If
discriminating
that looks
against
good from
others.
2 feet away, then you're okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. But I think what would be important for people to, if they want to learn about the history of Sun Valley, which was the largest flower grower in America at one point for sure,
Yep.
they should read the book because it's a history of how you learn to deal with adversity, and I think that's really maybe the purpose, well, not the purpose of the book, but anyway, maybe the underlying feeling of the book. Um, and then I was struggling, not struggling, but thinking about the word purpose, right? And I was wondering, how did I ever use the word purpose? And what comes to mind is it was, maybe dealing with my brothers and saying, you did that on purpose. And that was
Hmm.
about the only thing I'm thinking about using that word purpose. And yet you have taken it to a whole nother level here because your book is about purpose. And we could, I don't know, we could talk all day about this. So let me let you do a little talking. So, bring us up to date a little bit on and how you got this far. You know,
Okay, so what what truly happened? I mean, a number of people already had told me through the years, with all the things that happened to Valley, the great years, but also, some of the difficult years we had. You should write a book, and some people have told me that through the years, and but then after closing Sun Valley in the summer of 2024. That was very difficult. After putting my heart and soul into this business, this was my baby. I mean, for 40 years, put everything I had into making Sun Valley Sun Valley. And we had a fantastic team that made it all happen. And you're absolutely right. People are the oxygen of any organization. And we had a fantastic team, a team that went through many hard times. We went through many hard times together. But when Sun Valley closed, it was very difficult. So that became the point where I said, you know what, I need to start writing this down. All the things that happened, all the great successes we had, but also the dark valley we went through. And so in October of 2024, I started writing, first on a yellow pad. I actually tried the Word document speaker function, figuring that would be faster, but it didn't really work very well because as I was speaking, it was writing it all down, and then an hour later, it's like, okay, what did I even say here? Because with my Dutch accent, I guess it didn't work very well.
yeah, yeah,
So then after that, I just started just typing away on my Word document, and it was very therapeutic to just get all the things, all my thoughts, and start putting it on paper. And so that process went on for a few months, and then in February of last year, that's when I joined Cal Flowers. So at that point, it became weekends, Saturdays and Sunday, where I was doing this. But by April, pretty much had the guts of the book done. So it actually went pretty quick. To no writer's cramp or whatsoever. It was just basically typing away, as thoughts were coming to my mind.
well,
So.
and I think you told me that you started writing these notes down because what I found difficult writing a book was trying to remember the stuff. When you think back, okay, you had a story, then you try to dig back into the details, and it was like, oh, not sure if I remember it quite right, but you got it all pretty right here because you wrote things down. You kept that little notepad you told me.
Yeah, exactly. I had a little yellow pad, and I basically kept the diary from the moment I boarded the plane in 1983, October 23, 1983. And from there on, every day, I wrote, I mean, sometimes it was just a few sentences, but they were just, it was enough and of a reminder to go back to some of those dates and make sure that I got the right days. And I kept that diary going for about 20 years, all the way to 2003. So it was very helpful going back to that and making sure that I got all my facts right. So,
Very much so, very much so. Having that to jog your memory because you wrote it down. The
totally.
fact that you wrote it down, creates a memory, so you could put them all back together. Uh,
Yep.
we could go through the book and talk about lots of stuff. I think, you know, somebody reading it would find more value in it than me mumbling about it. But um, you had, then it all came to fruition, I guess, when you started listening to the radio on your drives to one of your farms there, right? You started listening to the radio, and lo and behold, out of that, Lane DeVries, the preacher, showed up, I think.
Yeah. So when we had our farm in Canada, I would visit our Canadian farm once a month. I would, take a red eye to Toronto, get there early in the morning, and then on my way to the farm, I mean, after taking that red eye, it was pretty difficult to stay awake. So I was kind of scrolling through stations, and so then I found a station where I heard I think John MacArthur, it was John MacArthur, and giving a sermon. And it was really intriguing and interesting to listen to. And that really got me hooked listening to these sermons on the radio. And so when I got to LA the next morning, or that evening actually, but driving to the farm in Oxnard the next morning, I went to KKLA and found a Christian radio station there and started listening to sermons there. And it became a moment where it really helped, settle me down despite all the commotion in my life, and really started listening to God's message. And I think that really is what, there's two chapters in the book that deal with this. And that's really became, for me, a turning point in coping with, all the challenges we went through. So,
Yeah, and well, you were having many, so I think it was probably the right way for you to find some peace, and on top of all that, you had some medical issues and problems that you had to deal with, and your back and some other issues that you struggled through, but you here you are. Um, broke your kneecap at a show and everything else, and you're still
just
walking
last
around.
year,
They're tough,
man.
tough Dutch guys.
Yeah. Well, when you said, you mentioned earlier the rise and fall of Sun Valley and Lane DeVries. I mean, definitely the rise and fall of Sun Valley. I think my purpose or my goal in with this book is that there's, despite the highs and the lows in the business, there's still purpose in life. And so I like to think of it not as the fall of Lane DeVries, but finding other ways to find purpose in life. And I think that's really the main premise of the book. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have said that better. Yes, it was
No,
certainly.
no, that's okay. But
But
it helped
no,
me
thanks for
at
the
least.
correction is good.
Yeah,
And so people can find this book on Amazon, I think.
correct, correct. Yeah, it's a you got the paperback there. There's also a Kindle version and
Yeah.
a hardcover. Yeah.
All right, and let's before what we can talk about is Women's Day because you are the I think the father of Women's Day. Maybe that's um,
Oh,
or at
yeah.
least in
I mean,
America. I think you're the father of Women's Day in America. So
yeah, yeah.
it's a something you've promoted and promote constantly. My wife was always saying, "How come you come back from these shows with stickers on you? I can't get
Well,
them
these stickers, I know.
off." And my father was famous for sticking on. If you recall, Rose's Ink way
Oh,
back when.
yes, yes,
Rose's
yes,
Ink,
yes.
they had a little embroidered rose, a sticky rose that you could stick.
Okay.
And my father would give it to us at the beginning of a convention. And he taught us the proper way to stick one on a woman without getting slapped. So uh,
Yes, 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 yes.
that was an art. But nonetheless, you have stuck that sticker on me for years now. So Women's Day is important to you.
I think it's important for the American flower industry, and it it's an American holiday. It started in 1908 in New York City, and it moved to Eastern
Europe,
Europe and
yeah.
Russia during the Russian Revolution. It stayed there, and it actually became a major flower holiday starting about 3, 4 decades ago,
Yep.
and it is now the largest flower holiday, larger than Mother's Day and Valentine's Day combined. And so in 2011, we started promoting Women's Day in America and trying to make it a major holiday here. And I think as the years have gone on, it's getting more and more traction. And I think we're well on our way for it to become a major holiday in America as well. And that's very gratifying.
Sure, as it should be, because you've sort of pushed it and kept it alive, I think, or rekindled it, because again, it started here, and then it disappeared, it went away. Um, and I think we probably should talk just a minute here, because as Cal Flowers, we have a lot of challenges in the world right now. We got all a war going on and all
Yeah.
sorts of things happening here. What's your take on all of that? Do you have an opinion on all of that?
It's very troubling what's going on in the world right now with oil prices and what that's going to do to transportation costs. There are many challenges in our industry, but the one bright light through it all is anyone who becomes members of Cal Flowers is getting a huge discount on FedEx, of 78%. So those are there are bright lights out there, there are benefits out there, and Fun and Sun is coming as our biannual convention in August this year in a beautiful facility or property called the Langham Huntington, which is a historic property in Pasadena. And it promises to be, one of the best Fun and Sons we have seen in many, many years. So it's really, really exciting.
Well, that's saying a lot because those Fun and Sons are quite good. They have been quite good over the years, and I hope this is even a better one. As they've asked me again once together to put together an industry band, so I'm working on that. I think we've got everybody lined up,
Yes,
so we'll have fun
that's
there.
great.
And and look, okay, so look, it's hard to cover a book in 20 minutes, and I'm not trying to. I think what the moral of the story here is, if you're interested as a reader, if you like to read, it's an easy book to read. It's got lots of good sayings in it. It's got a lot of philosophy. It's got a lot of heart and soul and grit and heartbreak. It's got a little bit of everything in there. So I enjoyed reading it, and I don't like to read, by the way. So it was
There you
it
go.
got me through it. I said, okay, I can read this, and it was easy enough to read. So look, hopefully people will be curious, and that's what this was designed to do: make a little curiosity here about what Lane DeVries was up to and where he finds his pursuit of purpose. And we had the benefit of sitting in listening to a guest speaker talk about purpose, and I thought for
Yes, I
sure
know.
you had let him read the book first, but you didn't. So uh, that was quite
Well, we
timely.
exchanged books. I
We
gave him
did.
my book, and he gave me his.
Okay, well, it was
So yeah.
quite timely because it was all about purpose. So the
Yep.
purpose of this conversation was to have people know about your book, and I think we've done that. So, sir, I will bid you adieu, and we'll see you soon somewhere.
All right. Sounds great, Willie. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show, and we'll see you soon. Thank
All
you.
right, my friend. Talk to you later.